All right, guys. Hello this evening. How things going? We are going to start our summer learning session. This one is on Google Classroom, and we're going to talk about posting. This shouldn't be too heavy of information because it's going to be more just about that general posting. I did send an alert through the classroom that if you have not turned off notifications, I would strongly recommend you do that for the rest of this week, because as I post things, you will receive notifications each time I do that. And just want you to be aware. If you want to leave it on, that's perfectly fine. Just know that you're going to get an email for it. So you might see a few posts tonight. That's okay. The good thing about that is if you watch this video, stop and play, or watch it later, you can pause it and then see what that does on see how it looks on your Google Classroom side, and then you can jump back over to the video, play a little longer, and jump back and forth. And that'll give you the opportunity to see both the teacher side and the student side. And that is one thing that's a little bit harder for me to show you, because you do have to, in order to join a Google Classroom, you must be a part of the USD 480 domain. At one time, I don't know if it's happened yet, but they were going to open it up so other and Google Apps for Education schools could join other classes, but Google Classroom is exclusive in that you have to have a USD480.net behind your email address, or you cannot join the classroom. So typically when I'm doing demonstrations and examples, I usually use my personal Gmail to show a different site, but I can't do that because I don't have the USD 480. So just know that on your Google Classroom that you can't really necessarily bring in outside contacts, which is a good thing in some security reasons, but you cannot bring outside contacts to join your Google Classroom. I know they did talk about using other domains, but I'm not really sure that conversation went now. This will happen. Before we begin our session, just don't forget these sessions are recorded and available to view after. The best place to view the sessions is to go to YouTube and just at the very top search Kate Hyland. You should be able to find them there. They're just listed under my uploads, I think, or my channel. I'm not positive which way you guys see it, but that really is the best way to watch them over and over again. You can enter any questions you have in the Q&A if you're watching this through Google+. I will answer them as I go. I try to keep, and I click on them as I go because that kind of puts in little markers. If you are watching this through YouTube, which is the best method for a mobile device, you will not have access to the Q&A, but you can always email me and I will try to respond after the session or in the next day or so. There is a slight delay to the video, so what you're seeing is about 10 to 15 seconds after I'm saying it. So just know that if you put a question in, it might take me 10, 15 seconds, give or take some time for me to even see the question, because sometimes as I'm working, I don't see them right away. But then just know that there's a little bit of delay there. At the very end of the session, I will be sharing a link to a follow-up survey. You will need to fill this out in order to get PDC credit. If you do not want the points, please still fill the feedback survey out anyway, as that gives me wonderful feedback for the sessions, and I've really, really appreciated all the information that I've seen in those. If you've done one of these before, that information makes me feel really good when I see some good information that you guys got, or if you just pulled away one or two things. I think it's very vital. So please fill those out even if you don't want the points. All right, so we are going to talk about Google Classroom and posting today. And posting is kind of the main basics of the Google Google Classroom and the communication piece. So obviously assignments are a really big deal, and that's something that we're going to talk about next week, particularly in the workflow and how that transitions. But posting just in general, we're going to kind of talk about that general notifications. If you watched last week's session just on the intro about Classroom and you had any burning questions that were still sticking with you, I will answer those at the end if you would like to put that in there. So you can put that over in your Q&A. Just remember, it's kind of the Q&A. If you don't have an open up, there's like a 6 grid that's kind of up above, around where my mouse is. I have a different screen than you do, and then it shows up over to the right side, and then you can enter your questions, and I'll answer those towards the end. All right. So posting. Obviously, there's a bunch of different types of posts that you can do. I warned you, and you see this here, this is a notification. This particular post on here is just an announcement. So announcement is just going to have some general information. It's not going to show up as an actual assignment to be submitted by the students. It's more like, hey, here's some information that I want you to be aware of. All right. So I'm going to click on the little plus sign down here. I don't have to click. I'm just going to hover. You have create a question, which is going to be kind of like an assignment. It can be graded. You have create an assignment, which is obviously the assignment piece, and we'll talk more about that next week and get more into depth. And then create an announcement, which is like my first one there. It's just a notification of information that's going out there. Usually, if you don't necessarily have something you want to grade from the students, but you want to share a resource or information about an assignment or something like that, that's a good place for an announcement. So I'm going to go ahead and click on an announcement right now. And so you can see that. Whoops, I was hovering a little bit. So you can see it's just like a text box. And as you just start typing your information, you'll see it kind of just go through here. I'm not sure if there's a character limit. I haven't reached it yet. Obviously, you can see I've entered some lines before. You can do attachments and items like that. You can do an upload. So if I click on that, that's going to allow me to upload something directly from my computer. So this can be a non-Google format. It is not locked you in on Google. However, when it comes to assignments, that Google format's beginning to become very, very important, which we will talk more about next week. So you don't have to have the Google format, but it is there. Also, by going through here, and if you were to place a Google Doc, so if I don't want to upload and I want to click on my Drive icon, that's going to allow me to search my Drive and find information. If something is not it is not already shared, it shares it automatically through the classroom. So you don't have to worry about the share settings because it puts it in the shared folder that we kind of talked about last week. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do this one. This is just a drawing version of the notification, so I'm gonna go ahead and say add. I can also add a YouTube, and I'm Lindsay. I'm not sure why it says you can't hear anything. I'm not sure. It is live. I am live right now, so I'm not sure if it's saying watch the video on the YouTube. If you're on a mobile device, you're going to want to watch it on YouTube. If you're on a computer, you can go to Google+. That's where you're going to want to watch that. All right, so if you want to add something on YouTube, please keep in mind that YouTube is not viewable at school. So if you want to show this for your students, this is not the best method because it will be blocked. It is not something we have open to us at this time. So you want to keep in mind that you don't necessarily want to use YouTube. However, there's a way around that if you want to show a video. So let me hit cancel here. What I would actually do if I wanted to show a video to my students, you save that video to your drive. So if I come over here and I'm going to go to my drive, and I do have a video right here. You can see that I have a video. The best way you can get YouTube videos off of the internet, if you look for download YouTube videos or allowing that, it does it by URL. It's actually, I use a certain website and I can't tell you what it is off the top of my head because it's not a common one. But if you email me later, I can try to get you that. And it allows me to actually export it off and then I save it as a file in my drive. From there, this is my workaround for the YouTube videos. From there, I'll go into my share settings and I'll say share, and then the get shareable link. This way I can take this link and say anybody with this link can view. I copy it, I come back over to my session, and if I'm going to add a link, I actually add that link right here. So this will actually force students to watch the video. It goes through a link. All right, so that's kind of a way to do it. It's not probably always the easiest way because you do have to find a way to get that file on there, but it is a way around it. So if you do recordings of yourself, this is how you want to save them. Don't save them to YouTube because they can't view them. All right. I'm going to go ahead and post this one. This is just a fake announcement, just so people know if they do not have their announcements turned on. We're just kind of giving an example here. I'm going to go ahead and say post. And you'll see that information just pop up right here. And it should show it. Excuse me. It said it was going to. Oh, there it is. I have to update my thing. Sorry. So now you can see here that I have both that Google drawing that I had added, and if I clicked on it, it would open up a Google Draw, and it would allow you to view it. And it's just a picture. There's not anything fancy to it. I'm just going to click off that. And then there's my video that goes through Google Drive. So you can see that I have this information posted here. You can type in your text. I can add websites if I had a link that I wanted to go to, or hey, I just want you to watch this video. So that kind of gives you your information here. When you do type into a link, it will actually take you out of Google Classroom into a site. It doesn't keep it in Google Classroom. It takes you to a site. All right, so that's just kind of so you know on your attachment. So that's just an example of how to do an announcement. So they're just your general information. There is no grade tied to this. So if I click back over here, my next option that we're going to look at is create a question. So if I hover over it, I'm going to go to create question. Again, it's going to be fairly similar. You do have two options when you do questions. They can either be short answer or multiple choice. And the multiple choice I kind of think about as in polling. And that was one that I kind of threw just at the beginning, just real fun. It was down there for their last week. So if I just want to say this, what is your favorite color? Hit my question mark. All right, so from there, you will, you can give instructions, watch this video to learn more about color. I can still add all my attachments just like I did before. Maybe I want them to read an article. What are you going to pull from this information? And from there, you can go forward. So, Heather, I'm not really sure why it's making me watch it through YouTube. So I do see your question there. I'm not really sure why they're all forcing you to go through YouTube right now, but that probably still will work. You can still send me your questions at the end and I'll kind of answer them, or I'll answer them next week live. That way people can kind of see them. I'm not really sure why it's not working through the system. Sorry about that. All right. Okay, so through here, you have the option to what your due date's going to be. And you know, when you click down on the date, it allows me to select it. Since there is a due date, and I cannot have a due date too. If you want to make this no due date, meaning you just want to get on there, but you don't have a set time to do that, you do have that option as well. But this due date, by adding a due date, this actually puts it again onto that Google Calendar. So we'll jump over there in a little bit just to get it. Due date is going to make it August 11th. Is this going to be a short answer or a multiple choice? If it's short answer, they're just going to be able to fill it in. It's not going to be a full essay question. I'm not sure about a character deployment. I haven't been able to read or find anything on that. I'm going to go ahead and say also on the multiple choice, you'll get your options just kind of like you do in Forms. So if you've done anything in Google Forms, you have the options still kind of in the same way, and it's going to give me my lines. You could say if I want to move them around, move that one up there. At the very end, or not at the very end, but as you come up here, you want to say students can see class summary. So do you want to allow students to see the results? So if you're doing a polling of the students in the class, you probably want to make sure, and if you're going to have feedback or conversation about the summary, you can turn this on or turn it off. This is a little bit different. Just know when it's colored, it's turned on. If it's grayed, it means it's turned off. I'm going to jump back here because I do want to change back to short answer so you can see the difference here. This is the other thing. When you have a short answer, you can say students can reply to each other, meaning can they post on each other's comments. That's up to you on what you want to have people respond to. If it's an opinion-based question and you want students to be able to ask additional questions about somebody's answer, that's probably a good option right there. You can also have students can edit their answer. Sometimes that does come in handy, or it's nice depending on what your set level is for your classroom. If you would like for students to be able to go back and edit their responses, you want to make sure that you have that option there. I believe through the grading process, it will allow you to see what they've submitted in their different versions. I'm not 100% positive on that one. The short answer has kind of been a new one lately. Again, I'll say again, you do have all the options for attachments down below. Just don't do that YouTube because they can't see it. The next option that is coming really handy with the posting is you can actually schedule your posts. I do like that. It gives you the options. You can also save as a draft. Don't forget that. You can save as a draft. So maybe I don't quite have all my information. I don't have all my ducks in a row yet. I can say save as a draft, and it'll close it, and you'll actually see it show up right here at the top. And this shows up on mine. It's probably not. It's not going to show up on yours because it's not visible. I can, collapse it down if I want to, or I can open it back up. So this is just my draft. If I open that up, I have the same window that I can go back and edit. If I schedule it, it's going to kind of fall in the same way. The one thing I did find out right away is if I say I accidentally posted this question, I can't go back and schedule it. So if you decide you want to schedule something later, I would actually do the reuse post, copy the post, and that way you don't have to retype everything and add new attachments and all of that. And then just delete the old one, put a schedule on the new one, and then delete the old one. So you can kind of do it, even though it's not the best way. So if I went ahead and say ask right now, which more or less is post, you can't go back and re-edit that. I'm going to show the scheduling. So the scheduling I'm going to tell you is when are you going to have this posted? When would you want this done? So today's the 9th, and maybe I want this posted. It's about, according to this watch, I'm going to hit 20, so hopefully that'll show up here. I'm going to go ahead and say schedule. I type in my information, my time. You cannot post it after a due date, which not that that's going to be a good practice anyway, but I found that if I had my due date for August 8th and I said schedule a question for August 9th, it will not let you do that. It'll throw an error. So just know that kind of safety features in there to keep you from doing that. I'm going to go ahead and schedule. All right, so now this before said draft or saved post, now it says scheduled post. I can still go back and edit it. I can still go back and put the information in that I need to. I can even reschedule it. So if I don't want it scheduled at 8:20 and I want it scheduled at 8:15, I can go ahead and make that change. You just click on it. It opens back up. I go into the schedule and it'll, oops, I hit that. Oh, here it is. Sorry, up at the top, schedule, and then I can change my time from there. So if I decided that's not when I wanted it, and then I'd hit schedule. So then it will go ahead and post it. You don't have to be on. The schedule of posting was a great feature that they did add just recently. So I do like the scheduling piece, just so it's already getting in there. Another item that if you have more than one class, which you most likely will, but you want to post them to different ones, right down here below you see that it's going to tell me, it won't let me schedule for multiple. Let me go back here. So it won't let you do scheduling, and it might do that from the beginning, but I'm going to go back to my this one. Save edit. Yeah, let's see. So let me do it. I have to do a new post. So I've kind of learned things as I go with it. Google Classroom is not very forgiving to go back and do something. Just so I learned that. So I learned that with the assignments really big time. I'm going to go ahead and create another fake announcement. Sorry, something on my computer. You can choose your classroom if you hit the little down arrow. Oops, sorry, clicked on the wrong thing earlier on my keyboard. And I can say if I want this to go to more than one class. I actually don't want it to go to that class. So I just check the boxes and it allowed me to send it to both of those classes at the same time. So if you find you're going to do that, it does look like it's not going to, it will not let you schedule for more than one class. That's kind of a surprise to me. I didn't know that at the time. See, I'm learning things all the time. I'm hoping that's something they'll catch up. So that will be the case when reuse post is really, really going to come in handy, particularly if you put a lot of time and energy into a post. So if you want to schedule it, you can't schedule with more than one class or you'll have to re-copy that post. So let's go ahead. I'm going to cancel this one and hit delete and go back up here. So on my what's your favorite color, maybe I want to reuse a post and I am going to switch to another class so I can reuse my post for that. My technology integration class. I think I have one student in here. So if I click on my plus sign and reuse post. So it does the reuse post. We talked about this last time. That allows you to select a class that you want to go to. It does allow you to select archived classes. So if you've done anything with Google Plus or Google Classroom already, you can do that there. I'm going to go ahead and click on my question. And I'm going to say create new copies of all attachments. And that's just going to create copies of all the attachments that are there instead of being my original ones. Go ahead and say reuse. And from here, I can go ahead and check my due date. It's going to be the same question. It's going to go out to this technology integration class, and then I would have to schedule real quick. I have to do it right here. So you do have to keep the rescheduling. If you want to reschedule it there, I'm going to go ahead and hit schedule. But you can reuse the post so you don't have to rewrite your information. Okay. One of the things that I found last week, and it was something that I had looked up before, and I wasn't totally positive, but I wanted to come back to it, was muting a student. Last week we had talked about under students and the permission, are we going to allow students to post and comment? Are we going to give them that feature? One of the things that I had come up across is muting a student. So if I check on a student and then I hit actions and then I say mute. What this does do, and I wanted to research it, make sure I was good, is that prevents a student from commenting and posting on the classroom. They will be muted until you unmute them. Right? So you can, if you just have one or two students that maybe abuse the power of the Google Classroom, you can go ahead and mute them. You can also delete their posts. So if you did not like a post that they had put on there, I found if you go to stream, and I'm going to come down here, and I had a comment from somebody, and Vera, I mean, that's nothing for you, but I'm going to go ahead and use you as an example. So if you're watching again, I'm sorry. But I can click on the three dots here, and I can actually say mute. She can no longer post. I can also go ahead and delete the comment right there. So maybe this was not approved. Just know they still can submit their work. Other students just don't see their work. If you allow students to see each other's work, it kind of just keeps them almost under the radar. They just lose that privilege for a little bit. Go ahead and put that. And then I say mute. That'll remove that post. She had another post, right? I posted something to her. So it removed that post. It wasn't appropriate. It got rid of it. That student is now muted. Then if I ever decide that I need to bring that student back, they've earned their trust. They got back what they needed to. If I go down, and I love this, they have a little indication here. It looks like a speaker, and it's all read out. If I click on that again, go up to my actions, and then I can say unmute. They did what they needed to do. All right. So you can mute students directly in the stream and delete their comments right away. So those are definitely good opportunities for students to kind of build that online digital citizenship, the things that you're going to build in your classroom. That, yeah, it would be nice to allow students to go ahead and put in their comments, but if they do something incorrect, that you can go ahead and delete it, but you can mute them for a time frame and then lose that privilege. Right? So you can see that this scheduled post, it finally did come up at 8:20, so like I wanted. It does tell me how many are done and how many are not done. I have 9 people enrolled in this class, and they have not done this. If I scroll down, I had a previous question. I had 3 people that had done this and 6 that had not. If I want to actually see the survey results, you can see here that I can see who has done this. If I just want to see the done ones, I can click on that one as well. And I'll go back there. I'm not going to click on that because that's actually a survey. I'm going to go to the follow-up question. Sorry, one more down here. There we go. How ready are you for school? I have one person that didn't answer my question, but I like this polling. It does come up kind of handy, so that way you can see a list real quick. And this is actually the same about what the student should see. 8 people have done it. 1 person has not done it. I can run down my line here and see who did sort by answer, so I can see who did what answer here. And Vera, I will be right with you. I am sitting there going, I am so ready to go. I'm ready to try new things this year. So I'm kind of there with you. Jody didn't answer. I know right away she didn't get an answer in. Sorry to call you out on that, Jody. I don't mean it. And so you can see right away who answered. The students don't all see this. They just see responses and not necessarily who responded where, but what their overall responses are. I can see who responded. So go back. Sort by last name. So the polling kind of comes in handy. It's a great way to get a kind of a quick fact checker on people. The one thing I did find, and I jumped to the survey earlier in completing the follow-up survey, I can go ahead and put this just as an announcement if I want to, because what you have to do in order to submit whether this is done or not done is hitting a button on whether you've done it. If you've taken the survey but you didn't hit that done button, it's actually a show me as not done. Not my favorite feature. Heather, so if you did the survey through the email instead of through Google Classroom, no, it does not show up as done. It actually, you have to click the done and not done feature. Next Thursday when I do this, I'm hoping to get somebody with me that we can actually show you both the student side and the teacher side. I'm working on that right now. But it should give you a done, that button that you would click on. That's the one thing about the Google Classroom and the forms that I want them also to get kind of straightened out with the forms. I like the forms, but they need to get that so you take the form and it shows it is done. Obviously, you know, if I jumped over the form, and Heather, yes, I did get yours, so don't worry about that. But if I jump over to the form, I can see right then and there who took the test. So that's kind of, you know, a feature that needs to be worked on. Sometimes I have to remind people, and I remind myself, that is Google Classroom is only a couple years old. There are a lot of things that they have got to do. All right, so we kind of talked about the different features that you've got there. Just know some of the key things that I have learned right away as you start working with these posting and the posts that you do. Know that you can't go back to schedule something or go back. You can go back and edit the post itself, but I can't go back and then change what classroom it's posted to. I'd have to use the reuse post. I can't go back and if something had already been posted and then schedule it, like pull it off and schedule it, that doesn't work. So just kind of know that you have to have your plan in place or you're going to have to do a couple more steps to kind of call it that. When things get posted, and you can see as I've worked today, these just get posted just down the line. This is not a feature that is the easiest to follow sometimes. However, they did make this a little better, and then I can hover over the post on the three dots and say move to the top. So I actually can throw that, complete the survey through Google Classroom right here. You can do it right there. You don't have to use this survey if you want to use it through another way, you can, but I just wanted to throw it on there. So just know that you can promote a post or push it to the top if you want to, but it is going to post them down the line. I can decide what's going to be first and what's going to be second, what's going to be third. You just kind of have to do a little bit of shuffling there. Know that you can have both just announcements and you can have questions. Oh, and I was going to show that. If you go to your calendar, I put that one question on there with a due date. If I hit my calendar, there's my due date for my question. So if you have a question and you have a due date, it's going to show up on the students' calendars. This shows up on their Google Calendar as well, but this also shows up just in the classroom calendar. So you can see it both places. What I do like is if you're following this along, the blue number is your current day. If I click on that, it takes me right to that assignment. So what I would need to do for that day. So if anything has a due date, it's going to show up on the calendar. Just know that. We talked about last week that you can post a date within an announcement, but that does not show up on the calendar. All right. So that's kind of the basics about posting to Google Classroom. We are going to talk a little bit more about the assignments, and I'm leaving the assignments off because there's a lot to that, and particularly some of that is understanding the workflow of how that looks. Just keep in mind that you can still always play with this and mess around with it. If you are going to attend Thursday's session, just send me a question ahead of time, or if there's something you particularly want me to try, I'm more than happy to try it so you can see both the teacher side and the student side. I'm going to work with somebody to get the student side up. So as we kind of finish up, don't forget to take that survey. I know this one was maybe not the most exciting. It's just kind of getting the basic understanding of the workflow of Google Classroom. Take the survey. That is a case-sensitive link, so you need a capital M at the beginning and a capital K at the end. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. Just know the next session, and it is our last session, will be Thursday, August 11th at 4 o'clock. We are going to finally talk about assignments in Google Classroom. So I'll talk a little bit about that workflow, what the assignment looks like for a student, how that can be submitted, grading, so on and so forth. So there's going to be kind of some back and forth. As we go forward, finishing up our sessions for this summer, I really do appreciate any people that have been able to attend. If you've watched these sessions later, that's also a great thing, because that was the beauty of recording these, so that we could watch them at the time that was most convenient to you. If this is something you would like to pursue in the future, or you think you would like to cover other topics, or let me know. Just shoot me an email. I greatly appreciate it. I just give you feedback on whether this is a good opportunity for people to learn, or if they find something that will work better for them. So don't forget to take the survey, and we will hopefully see you next Thursday, or this Thursday, excuse me, August 11th at 4 o'clock to talk about Google Classroom and assignments.